니들도 배 운전할 수 있지?
This will probably be a short review, so I will try to put some more background info into the video after the main review. So I heard a lot about this Project Wolf Hunting flick, and it was supposed to be this year's The Sadness. Well, it's either Project Wolf Hunting or Terrifier 2, it depends on who you ask. I mean, this is supposed to be ultra brutal and bloody and shows a whole lot of the red stuff. It is so much, I haven't even seen how many gallons they use, they instead count it in tons. So there are literally tons of blood in this movie. But what is it even about? Project Wolf Hunting is an action, splatter, horror, sci-fi, crime, thriller, maybe even superhero movie. It's about a bunch of criminals on a freighter who are being transported from Taiwan to Korea. Mainly featured is this young man at first, heavily tattooed and insulting one of the cops, implying that he did something to the cop's daughter. He seems to be the most important part of the movie, even though a lot of characters are glanced by. Actually, there's quite a lot going on. I compare it to 3 or 4 different shows going on at the same time when suddenly an action splatter movie happens. There's also this young man, the cop who was insulted by the criminal kingpin, a young female cop, and later on a couple of female criminals also on board. Soon after the ship has left the harbor, it turns out that there are, of course, some criminals hiding on the ship and trying to take control of it. They are heavily armed and absolutely ruthless, trying to kill everyone in their way to free the prisoners on the ship. While this is going on, there's also some kind of experimental specimen on board. Something that seems barely human and is crudely restricted in one of the rooms. When all hell breaks loose and the ship turns into a kill zone, the experiment awakens and the situation will get a whole lot bloodier. There seems also another plot going on when on the mainland a man has to organize a squad and go get the experiment back. He and his boss seem to have supernatural powers. Soon we will find out what is actually going on. Project Wolf Hunting is just a good time, at least for me. There's glorious splatter in the entire movie. People who are getting hit in the head don't have just a couple of blood drops on the side of the head or on the forehead. No, blood is gushing. Fountains and geysers are spraying. Bodies are torn apart or smashed. It is insane to see this in a movie, which looks like it has a budget, as it's almost on the level of some of these Japanese fun splatter movies we had a couple of years ago, like Tokyo Gore Police or Machine Girl. There's also some well shot action, and while the movie starts pretty intense and cruel, it gets so over the top and cheesy in the end that you can't take it too seriously. It's also worth a second watch, so you know who the actual protagonist is and on who to focus. I mean, this is no Memento, it's not a complex, well-written, innovative story. It's just a whole lot going on. It looks stylish, it's mostly well made. The story isn't great, but kind of interesting enough if you want to get invested in it. At least it was the case for me. I like the color palette and visual style, which you can see here. I love the mostly practical effects, and I'm still wondering a bit how they made some of the effects, as you can see nose bleeding from a shot in which there is no way they could hide any tube or something like that, and it comes from inside the nose. I'm also wondering if there will be a sequel, but I kind of doubt it. But if it will come, I will be there. Project Wolf Hunting gets a very solid 7 out of 10. And the like. Now to the bonus info. Unfortunately, I don't have that much, as there were hardly any special features on the disc. But I was able to read a bit from a booklet that was in this set. which also looks pretty good. Actually, and this is probably no surprise, the director was, among others, influenced by Con Air. But he decided to, instead of using a plane, use a freighter to transport a lot of criminals. Also, he was saying that most of his stories just turn very dark, but he would like to make a romantic comedy one day. But he can imagine that he will make a great romantic comedy. I don't know about that, but if he wants to continue with bloody action movies or horror movies, I'm up for it.
선박 보안 경고 시스템 정상 작동 중입니다.
그들이